you know anything at all about movies, and you know that January and September are both the dumping grounds for Hollywood. These are the 2 months where the movies that Hollywood has little to no faith in are typically released. Every once in a while, you'll get that one misnomer that actually breaks this stereotype and ends up being good and being a runaway hit. That awkward moment follows the story of 3 friends who make a pact to stay out of a relationship for as long as possible. I don't even bother mentioning the character names because the names change but the story remains the same. This one is straight up out of John Hughes' playbook. The only thing different this film does that those movies do not is this movie combines all of their plots into one. The first part of the movie starts off okay. The first 30 minutes I was reasonably entertained, I will admit that. But shortly thereafter, the movie begins to kind of descend into this sort of realm where it thinks it's being really deep and philosophical, and actually it's really just bogging down and being slow. This movie is the opposite of what just about every movie aspires to be, which is you start off slower and you build momentum. This movie starts off with momentum and then recedes, eventually leading to a last act that is so slow that all I was doing was praying for the movie to be over. At points, it attempts to be a deep philosophical drama. At other points, it attempts to be a stereotypical rom-com. And then still at other points, it tries to squeeze a few laughs out of just some really over-the-top humor that if you've seen the Red Band trailer, you were already familiar with. That was the greatest scene in the whole movie. The movie really should have had more of that, and the movie, I feel like, was marketed like it was going to. But there's very little of that. Everything that's in the Red Band trailer is the only sort of shock comedy that we are subjected to in this movie. The rest of it is really, frankly, boring. If this was really the movie that you just had to see this weekend and was the only reason that you were going to the theater, my advice to you is stay home. Another movie I recommend if you're just desperate to get your rom-com fix this weekend is Cameron Crowe's Say Anything starring John Cusack. This is a movie that approaches the philosophical questions that awkward moment attempts to answer, but actually succeeds at it. This is a very good movie, and it's what That Awkward Moment tried to be at points but failed at. That Awkward Moment also references Jerry Maguire, another Cameron Crowe film, and I would recommend also watching that one over this one. This movie had a strong 80s vibe. If that's your kind of thing, I would actually recommend checking out the Topher Grace comedy Take Me Home Tonight. That movie did the same thing that Awkward Moment tries to do, except I felt like it succeeded much better at it. It's not a perfect film, but it's a good fluff piece. That Awkward Moment could have been a good fluff piece, but ended up instead just being flat, boring, and lifeless. Don't forget to like the video and stay tuned, I've got a whole lot more on the way. And always remember, the only way Hollywood is gonna stop making terrible movies is if you stop paying to see them. I'm Devin Cartwright and this was Bashing Hollywood. I'll see you next time.